Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. It's Brandon. Before I get into today's video, I want to make a quick announcement to say I will not be attending the LA Fit Expo this weekend in Los Angeles. Now, what does this mean for you? It means you won't be able to find me walking the floor with a handheld camera, trying to get in on some epic collabs just to get a cheap bump in subs. Unfortunately, this also means you won't be able to wait in an endless line just to meet me at a supplement booth and or a clothing booth for me to push my wares on you, give you a worthless autograph, make some cheap chit chat, and me literally have no idea who you are, despite the fact that you probably comment and post on tons of my videos. Now, don't worry, all is not lost. You still can't meet me at a gym, which is going to be overcrowded. You can't come and watch me work out and not be able to get in a full training workout as well because there's too many people. And don't worry, I still can't ignore you and just not know you even exist because, again, I'm not going to the LA Fit Expo, and no, don't ask me to get a meal afterwards because ain't nobody got time for that. So I won't see you there. Meantime, let's get the video started. All right, so what you're watching is the second half of the week's workout. Squat day, 365 for 6 sets of 2. Some other squat work, glute ham raises, and some weighted pull-ups because, again, I remembered my belt. Now, for this particular day in the past, I've been doing pause squats instead, and I started out my warm-ups doing pause squats, and this first actual set is kind of a hybrid pause, but I just wasn't really feeling it. So I decided to just go ahead and do the normal work. And again, because the percentage of the weight I'm using is probably around 65% of my 1 rep max, the weight should move fairly fast as is. I'm just not trying to necessarily explode down into the hole or drop too fast because I find that really throws off my form, and I always get lower back pain if I drop too fast into the hole. Really got to ease it in. Another interesting thing to point out here is that I'm using my flat-soled shoes on my main squat day. So traditionally on Monday, which is my main deadlift day, I do squats as an accessory exercise. And since I'm already wearing flat-soled shoes for my deads, I've been doing all of that squat work with flat-soled shoes. However, on Thursday, which is the day you're watching right here, because it's my main day, I typically lift in my Olympic shoes. But what I've been noticing is I've been just feeling better squatting in flat shoes in terms of my form. Now, one of the big differences, in my opinion, between these two shoes, besides the form aspect, is I just feel more stable overall in those Olympic shoes. And I think that's because the sole is a lot more stiff. There's not a lot of give. And although these flat-soled shoes I'm wearing now are great as far as getting me close to the floor and giving me maybe better mechanics for my form of squat, they still kind of sway a little bit and they really kind of overexpose my ankle collapsing. So you'll see that on some of the other squats coming up. You can see my knees coming in a little bit, my ankles coming off the floor. So I want to work on that, but I think just right now, based off how I've been squatting and how I've been feeling, working on form and tweaking things, that maybe flat-soled shoes are just more ideal for my current form. And I say for my current form because, again, you guys know I change shit up all the time, so I'm trying to remain somewhat consistent. But overall, I was happy with how things went in terms of how the weight moved on this particular day and how things felt, again, wearing these flat-soled shoes. And I think a big part of that too is coordinating the socks and the belt, the wrist wraps, and of course those weight clamps as well. Or maybe it's just that I'm wearing these high elite shorts, which just so happen to have the American flag on the left hand side, which you'll probably see a little bit later as well, because America, fuck yeah. Anyways, what you're seeing here is my next accessory exercise, which was just more traditional back squats. So 3 sets of 5 with 405. I decided to go ahead and do squats on squats just because I simply felt like it. Now, normally for the accessory movement here, I'd probably do front squats or maybe some stiff-legged deadlifts or Romanian deadlifts, but I just felt like squatting more and getting some more total volume in. And that's exactly what I did. One of the things that I'm allowing myself to do on this program is really give myself some room to play a little bit. So even though I have a structured program in place, some of the accessory movements is really up to me depending on how I feel. And because of that, I think when I turn this over to you guys, if you're interested in running it or whatever, it's really important that you're more of an intermediate to advanced lifter, just because I think somebody who's new or a beginner might not necessarily know where to go on some of these programs, and you might be better off doing something that's more laid out in a specific split. Now for these particular sets of 405 too, I also wanted to get a couple different angles. For those 365 sets, I wanted to get just a side angle just to make sure my depth is good. And one of the interesting things is you can see here with all these different angles I'm getting, my depth looks better or worse depending on where you're looking at it from. So definitely from the side you can see I'm breaking parallel a little bit, which is huge for me, and that's all I really care about. but I still like to get other angles just to see other areas where I can improve upon, namely in this case those ankles, or cankles, as some of you have so kindly pointed out. From there, we moved on to glute ham raise, 3 sets of 10. Now for this, I'm grabbing my ass, namely because it feels good. It doesn't look very good, but it feels pretty good. And also just because when I have my hands out front, I'm not good enough at this exercise yet that it really makes me cave forward even further. You can see some bend in my hips here, so I need to work on that. But one of the key things with this glute ham raise that I found is really making sure you adjust things accordingly so that you can really use the back part of your foot and your heel to push off and not just your toes. From there, moved on to 3 sets of 8 of some weighted pull-ups, so 45 pounds here. It's been a while since I've actually done weighted pull-ups. I want to introduce them back because I think it's a great exercise. I usually finish most of these workouts with some kind of pulling movement, as you guys have already seen. Traditionally, I would do, again, incline dumbbell rows here. I love doing that exercise. It just so happens the benches were all taken up. So that ends the day, and moving on to the next day, February 6th, which brings us to my secondary bench day. So initially it was supposed to be a bench press 3x2 up to a heavy double. I ended up doing 4 sets only because this set you're watching was actually like 5 or 6 sets into the workout. I forgot to initially record my first set of 300 for 2. Later on in the workout, it bothered me enough to the fact where I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do another set and record it and put it at the beginning of the video, and that's exactly what I did. Second set of 325 for 2 also went really well, and it's surprising just because, like I said, I was kind of out of it. I forgot to record a set, I misloaded the bar, I had 25 pounds heavier on one side during warm-ups. Just my mind wasn't in it, but the weight was moving really well. So well, in fact, that I was able to hit a new PR here for touch and go, so 340 for 2, and this actually goes really well as well. It's really surprising. Had Sam there spotting me just in case, Candido's clone. He left right after this, and if he didn't, I seriously considered jumping up to either set a new 1 rep max touch and go or maybe even bump it up to try an even heavier double. It's probably good that he left just because I might not have got it. So I'll take 340 times 2 for a win. We then jumped on to wide grip paused bench, or somewhat paused, and for this I'm only using a slightly wider grip than normal, about 1 to 2 inches here, so nothing overly exaggerated. I've been trying to do this with all of my accessory work on this program, and it seems to be working really well as all my weights seem to be going up fairly consistently, despite the fact that I'm actually losing a little bit of body weight. So I'm around 225 right now in this video. Finally finished off some reps overhead press, 6 sets of 4 at 155. As always, if you want to find out more, see my warm-ups, follow me at Frocracy. I log everything in there and throw some notes. In the meantime, as always, thanks for watching and stay big. Looks like there's more weight dispersed further across the bar, which I find just